I'm a bad mood, gotta keep it tight. Hold my baby squid, keep him out of sight. Talking about my life, government, stay away. If you drive, I'ma do it my own way. Squid in the ocean, swimming all alone. Ain't nobody telling me where to go. Living free, gotta stay true to myself. No need for interference from anyone else. Squid pro quo, that's the way to be. Living on my terms, setting myself free. Mama to my baby, protecting with my no government intrusion. I control my life.
Hey guys, it's Squid. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get into this. We're a day late with getting into this trial, but I had a headache last night, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me. And I just have to say one thing before I say hi to people. Tug Simp, you a hoe. I got into a Twitter war with Tug Simp because she is trying to play victim and it's not working. Is your name Becky? Because that's a whole name. Just saying. Carol Murphy, I don't know if you're back, but this comment made me laugh. Hi, a show I watch on Rumble is the Dilly Show today at 1 hour and 15 minutes. Brendan did a great job of telling others whose show it is. I thought of you as I listened. And hey, Tammy, I don't have a gavel, but I need one. Hey, Dad, how are you? Oh, and speaking of Papa Squid, I got this in the mail today. I have not set it up yet because I literally just opened it and I was doing other stuff. But it will be set up over the weekend because, Tug Simp started drama in Megan's chat today, and I basically put out a tweet that said, I don't care whose side it is, like, stop with drama, like, and if you attack people on Twitter because of a beef on YouTube, and I was not specifically talking about her, but she responded, and then I found out I was not there. Then I found out that she was creating drama in Megan's chat because Megan started adding Legal Vice's mods as her mods if they wanted to be, because I mean, at Rogue Mama's, or Rugu Mama as she's called now, they lost their I mean, I liked Legal Vices. Legal Vices and I were friends, but we weren't close, and I wasn't in his chat every day. His mods were in his chat every day. So now, without Legal Vices, they're, I don't know, I don't want to call them lost puppies because they're not. They're grown adults. But like that was their guy. Like, and a couple of my mods are mods for him, or well, JKD Block was a mod for him. And like, and she started drama over there. Poor Marine, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. My original tweet was about you, but when I found out what she did, you had nothing to do with what happened with Megan. But Megan is where I got my YouTube start, as a mod for Megan, and then Flux invited me on her channel. So there's a few people that I understand that people don't like the people that I like, and you don't have to like everybody, but you don't have to go out of your way to be a bitch either. And she went out of her way to be a bitch. So, and then she tells me she doesn't care about me not liking her. And then it's like, but you keep responding to me. So obviously you do care. So, she doesn't like Megan. And she was trying to talk about Megan, and it was yeah, K-Dubs, there's definitely a void. There's definitely a void. And like, I know I was never on Vice's channel, and he was only on my channel once. But if there was a bigger YouTube cheerleader than anybody I'm related to, like, he was my biggest YouTube cheerleader. Like, I mean, obviously Megan, because, but like, he was my biggest YouTube cheerleader. So, and here I go again. I've been good all day. All day. Damn it, Vices. Why'd you have to be such a good freaking person? Cheers to Vices. Rest in peace, my friend. All right, since we are a day late, we will just get right into, and I found exactly where we left off, and we are just going to get right into this, so I can stop looking like an absolute fool on camera yet again. It's been a hell of a week. Ugh. Here we go, and let me know if you guys can hear this. Because the audio...
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are learning that the acoustics in this room are not great. So try to keep your voice up so that the folks in the back of the jury
At
can
least
hear
they're
you.
aware
Yes,
of it, and they try.
Can you state your name and spell your last name, please?
James Voris, V as in Victor, Ooris.
And how are you employed?
I am employed by the Vermont State Police
How long have you been employed by the Vermont State Police?
since January 2014.
And were you employed by them on October of 2021?
Yes,
And were you a detective sergeant at the time?
yes,
And are you still?
yes.
At some point, were you assigned as the case officer
Hey.
for an investigation related
Hold
to
on,
Emily
Duncan, let me
Ferlazzo?
fix you.
Yes, I was.
And what does it mean to be a case officer?
So to be a case officer, so I'm assigned to the major crime unit. So as a case officer, I'm responsible for the organization of a case. As a detective sergeant, I'm responsible to conduct interviews, collect evidence, review evidence,
I fixed you, Duncan.
author search warrants, just the general investigative actions.
Okay. And is it fair to say that you sort of collect all of that for the case?
Yes, so there'll be several or numerous individuals that work on a case, and I collect their reports and their work product. I compile it into a case file and provide it.
Okay. And have you reviewed all of the evidence in this case?
I believe so.
Okay. And did you prepare evidence for the court for this trial?
Yes, I did.
And what does that entail?
So specifically with the physical evidence for this trial, I just recently packaged it in clear evidence bags so it was visible without having it removed from the paper evidence bags it was in.
Okay. And do you recall some of the stuff you did that for?
I do.
The jury hasn't seen any of it yet, but can you tell them just some of it?
I repackaged projectiles, a casing, ammunition, some pillows. I believe that might be it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you were assigned to this case, what information did you have initially?
So initially, I learned that other troopers were investigating a missing persons case, and I responded to the St. Albans State Police Barracks to assist with that.
Okay. Where were you stationed at the time?
I was assigned to the major crime unit.
Okay. And did it matter? Do you know why you were going to St. Albans?
Yes. So it was a missing persons complaint at the time, but there.
Okay, Duncan, 2 rules. 1, nobody gets blocked unless I say they get blocked. However, you have the power to time out anybody who starts drama. They won't be permanently blocked, but you can time them out for 24 hours because we don't do drama here. And if Bruce comes in and gets bitchy, feel free to time him out for 10 or 15 minutes so that he can come back and I can annoy him even more. But the only person who's blocked on this channel is MLS, because he's got ethics problems.
There were circumstances that were known to law enforcement that made it suspicious, and if it ultimately was a homicide, it would be assigned to the major crime unit. So oftentimes, if we kind of have some suspicious circumstances, we'll get involved early on.
Okay. And was there some connection to St. Albans that brought you there?
There was a vehicle located in St. Albans by other troopers, and that's where they were meeting. So that's where we met.
Okay. And so did you do anything to attempt to locate Emily?
I did.
What was that?
So I requested records, what we call exigent records, location records related to her cell phone, her Facebook account, and Joseph Ferlazzo's cell phone.
Okay. Did the Facebook records provide anything useful in an attempt to locate her?
There was location data provided by Facebook. It was the last known location of the device associated with the account.
And where was that?
It was, so Facebook provides that in a latitude, longitude. They provide a latitude and longitude. And when you map it, it was Bolton Valley, Vermont, near Bear Run.
Okay. So it was that specific that it actually said it was near Bear Run in Bolton Valley?
The accuracy, I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was good.
Okay. And do you recall what the time was for that last known location of the device?
I believe it was October 15th, 2021 at 10:14 p.m.
Okay. And just to be clear, that was for Emily's device?
Emily's Facebook account. That was associated with her Facebook account.
Okay. And was that location of Bear Run and Bolton significant to you at the time?
Yes.
And why is that?
The information I had was that her last known location was in Bolton, Vermont.
Okay. And on skipping ahead to October 19th, were you made aware that Joseph Ferlazzo was at the St. Albans BSP barracks?
Yes.
And was he there related to this incident?
Yes.
And do you know how he arrived at the barracks?
I do. I learned that Detective Sergeant Amy Nolan, who at the time was also a member of MCU, had located Joseph at the Maple Fields in St. Albans, Vermont.
Okay. And do you know what she was doing there at the time?
He can't divulge any messages right now. Once the judge approves the motion, he has a federal lawsuit to fight. So he won't be really doing anything. But he's the only person on this channel that's blocked because he's just an unethical asshole. And if you want to see what ethical problems he had in 2014 and was reprimanded by the Michigan Supreme Court, last night on the stream, I played it at the beginning and at the end. I've been holding on to that. I've been holding on to that information since November 12th. And I wanted to be petty and share it. Yes, because he shared, he made a separate video where I blocked him because he attacked somebody else in my chat. And then he decided to share all of our Twitter DMs going back to like March in a YouTube video and trash me on his Discord server. So yes, he's the only person that is not allowed on this channel. The only person. I even let Bubbles talk in this chat. And I will not let Dave talk in this chat. Hell, I would have Lynette and John Cook in this chat. And he's still not allowed. But now he's got a federal lawsuit to fight, so I'm the least of his worries.
I believe she was buying lunch.
Okay. And do you know what Mr. Ferlazzo was doing there?
He was making a purchase as well.
Okay. So in summary, what information did you have at the time about Mr. Ferlazzo's possible involvement in Emily's disappearance?
So I knew the information that Trooper Cody had obtained the night prior. I read his report when I came into the office. I knew that Spencer Lemons had called 911 and made a report and what he reported. And then I had attempted to locate Emily through her device and Joe through his device. And then I learned that Sergeant Nolan located Joe.
Okay. And so at the time that Mr. Ferlazzo was at the barracks, had anybody located Emily?
No, she had not been located.
Okay. And regarding the 911 call, the jury just heard the 911 call. Do you recall when that was?
I believe the timestamp is a few minutes after midnight on October 19th, like 12:03 a.m. on October 19th, 2021.
Okay, and at what time was Mr. Ferlazzo brought to the barracks?
Shortly after 2 p.m. on October 19th, 2021.
Okay, so approximately 14 hours after the 911 call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long, and so once he arrived at the barracks, where did he go?
It's my understanding he went into an interview room at the St. Albans State Police Barracks.
Okay, so you weren't a part of that?
I was not.
Okay. How long was he in the interview room before you spoke with him?
It was about 20 minutes.
Okay. And while he's in the interview room, is that room recorded?
Yes, the interview room is audio and video recorded.
Okay. And so during those 20 minutes before you spoke with him, what was happening in the interview room?
Mr. Ferlazzo was in the interview room. There was a uniformed trooper, I believe it was Sergeant Michael Philippek, that was in there with him. Sergeant Philippek searched Mr. Ferlazzo, and then they just had general conversation for about 20 minutes. Mr. Ferlazzo was brought some food, he was brought a beverage, he was brought a blanket. And
Okay. And was that all at his request?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So when you went into the interview room, had anybody spoke to Mr. Ferlazzo about Emily?
Not to my knowledge.
And so how did you start your interaction with him?
I introduced myself. I told him who I was, who I worked for, and I read Mr. Ferlazzo his Miranda rights.
Okay. I'm going to show you States 12. You recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
This is the Miranda warnings that I filled out on the 19th and that I read to Mr. Ferlazzo and that he signed and dated.
And this is a fair and accurate depiction of the Miranda warnings.
Yes, ma'am.
Move to admit States 12.
Any objection to States 12?
No objection.
States 12 is admitted without objection.
Up on the screen here now, is that the Miranda form that we just admitted?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you go over each of these questions with Mr. Ferlazzo?
Yes, they're not really questions. They're his rights, but I read them to him. I read them to him. I asked if he understood them. And then I ask if he wants to speak with me.
Okay. And then this part, the 1019, 245, and the signature, who wrote those?
Mr. Ferlazzo wrote the signature, and I believe he dated and signed it, or dated and time stamped it as well.
Okay. How long did you speak with Mr. Ferlazzo in the interview room?
I believe our total interview was about 2.5 hours, maybe a little less.
Okay. And was that entire interaction, including those 20 minutes before you went in, captured on video
Yes.
and audio?
Yes, ma'am. There are times where he requested to use the bathroom or we went outside and he smoked a cigarette. Those are not captured on the audio and video, but we also use a backup like digital recorder and that just goes in your pocket. So that's captured on that.
Okay, so either through video or audio, the entire time that you were speaking with Mr. Ferlazzo on the 19th is captured in some way?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And have you reviewed that interview recording?
Yes.
The state has, are you aware the state has marked that as states 19?
Yes.
Okay. And is it an accurate representation of the entire time that Mr. Ferlazzo was in the interview room?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, the state would move to admit states 19?
Ms. James.
Yes, thank you, Judge. We do object to the admission of the recorded interview. We have previously provided the court with written
Okay, the one thing I
reasons
didn't
why we
do,
believe the statement was not voluntary. We renew everything that is contained in our previously filed motion and ask the court to exclude this
sorry,
interview
I can't listen
from
to
this
that.
trial. We
lady
further
on-
move to exclude it because it contains information about post-mortem injuries to Emily Ferlazzo's body. We've previously filed a written motion to exclude those testimony concerning that, those injuries. We renew everything, all the bases that are in our previously filed motion to exclude, and ask the court to exclude that testimony on the grounds that it is not relevant, not probative of any essential element in the case, and is highly prejudicial to Mr. Ferlazzo's rights. So for those, we also, when we come to it, there are photographs of Mr. Ferlazzo at the end of the interview that we also have objected to the introduction of. I know that's a separate exhibit we can deal with when the state introduces it, but I believe it will be shown as part of this video. And so we are objecting to the introduction of those photographs as unnecessary, not probative, and highly prejudicial to Mr. Ferlazzo.
Certainly that on the voluntariness issue, that's an issue you can argue to the jury, but for reasons stated in a long written decision, that objection is overruled, and the jury may hear the statements in the interview that was done. With regard to the post-mortem injuries, the court has previously filed a written order as well. The court will stand by that order and overrule that objection and allow the admission of the post-mortem injuries as we have already outlined what can and will not be admitted in that regard. And the pictures of Mr. Ferlazzo, frankly, the court didn't find had, it certainly had relevance and had very minimal prejudice. So those were also subject to a written order as well. So your objections are noted and overruled.
Thank you. Just with respect to timing, Judge, I know this, do you want to take a break now before you start this, or start it and then take a break?
I'd probably start it and take a break at 2:30, which is my usual time. Maybe
Sorry,
it's
I
fine.
had to change
Mr.
my
Ferlazzo needs
the
to-
Oh,
speed
does he
to
need it?
Judge,
or
I'm not starting it
1.5.
right now. If we can, I have like 5 more questions before I start it.
So
You want to do that?
if he needs a break, we'll obviously need to take a break. But why don't you ask any lead-in questions you need before the video is played?
So before we play the video, after Mr. Ferlazzo waived his Miranda rights, did you ask him if he had any idea what investigators wanted to speak to him about?
Yes, I did.
And what was his response?
Something to the effect of he was there to talk to us. I didn't have to beat around the bush, and that he believed we had talked to Spencer already.
Okay. And the jury has just heard from Spencer. Did you ask him what happened to Emily?
So, Judge, the best evidence is the video, and this will all be heard
Spencer was the friend, for those of you who need a refresher, Spencer was the friend that he called and he was driving with when he said that he unalived her.
by the jury pursuant to the court's instruction. There's really no point in having Detective Voris repeat what they're going to see on the video. So I object to these questions.
It's overruled so long as it's quite limited in scope.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes.
I
Did
like this
you
judge.
immediately ask him what happened to Emily?
Yes.
And what was his response?
He explained that they had traveled to Vermont for a weekend away. I believe they went to Bolton. When they got to Bolton, he described her as being psychotic. I think he uses the term berserk. And ultimately, he told me he shot her twice in the head.
Okay. How quickly into the interview did he tell you this?
A minute or two after Miranda.
And do you recall what he stated when you asked him to describe Emily when he shot her?
He told me at some point in the interview, he explained that the fighting had stopped and she was laying on the bed.
So, Judge, we would now seek to start the video. Do you want to take a break?
Okay. So if folks need a break, we'll take a break. Let's keep it relatively short. It's 2:10 now. Let's be back at 2:20.
I like this judge because he explains himself, but quickly, shortly, straight to the point. He doesn't beat around the bush with why he decided something. And as we do in Nightcourt, we skip through. And I had to change the speed. I forgot it was on normal speed. And that lawyer, her voice just, I don't know. Her voice is just funky.
I think so. Is that better?
Oh yeah, no spoilers, but we can it's very hard to get a confession thrown out if you were read your Miranda rights. And K-Dubs, welcome to Pinnacle Nation. It's weird, just like Megan's. Not as weird as Megan's, but we're getting there. Hey, Dad, do you like Judge Darrow in Waukesha? I can give you somebody else, Flash fan, that doesn't like her. Somebody that lives close to there. Come on, people. We don't waste time here.
Long night, huh? Yeah. You got your keys?
It's an interesting camera angle.
Oh, that? I said that right there. Just, you turn on? Yep. We do this, now we make sure anybody that comes in here doesn't have any knives or anything on them. Is that your wallet? Yeah, you said that there.
As long as you never see the videos where police don't do a good search and it shows up all over the internet, things go crazy because it means they find something we don't find. I'm saying we would do that just because it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So everybody,
Especially here in Vermont, everybody allowed to have guns, there's nothing illegal about it. So we're just always hyper vigilant. Yeah. So have a seat, make yourself comfortable.
gotta, like it, the fact that it's going to challenge it.
Oh no.
I think maybe this is going to get some tweaks in the longer.
Yeah. Or get personal on this, maybe start confiscating it. I'm not gonna keep it, something illegal about it. Go with this, pop it off this. Yeah. What were you doing? Just one of the gas stations? Yeah, shot you? Yeah. No way. Were you on the side of the road? Yes. I guess you shot. Jesus.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody be interrogated while able to wear a hoodie with his hands in his pockets.
What time is it? What day is it? Space up. Yeah. It is Tuesday, October 19th, 2006. I was looking at this for a year. On Park Street? What that? How about We started at 8. You did up there, so I do like 8 to 8, like a 12 or something. No, 9, it's either 9 or 10 hours.
I'm able to do a sandwich, so I want to hold you over. Yeah, need that? Okay, I'll go get ham, turkey,
Somebody like that. I know.
bunch of hot dogs. I just said, as long as what I find.
You don't fucking.
All right, you got it.
I appreciate your effort.
You got it. All right, I'll get you a sandwich.
I'm not telling you that, man, but. No, no. I'm not the kind of guy. Really sweet, you know? I laid off sugar for a while. Yeah. No,
Side note, am I the only one thinking it's ironic that they have donuts at the police station?
day shifts, we start at 8, and we go till 5. 2 guys work split, other guys start at 5 and work all night, so it's staggered. And, oh my God,
You don't like it?
no, yeah, there you go, it's cold out.
Yeah, Paul is finally here.
Oh, yeah.
Do they not have heat?
Shivering. Here you go. Can't work remotely, but it doesn't now.
Makes me want to hide under blankets.
You been here, ever been here before? I know you said you're from Essex, but this place, if you need anything while you're here, you know, just holler, we'll get you water or whatever. There's a bathroom out to that door, another bathroom down the way, just, as long as you just ask somebody, make sure you get to where you gotta go. How's that going? It's not well. It's not well. I'm over here actually just focusing on trying to keep my stomach to let the babe be good. Just looking at each side. Yeah, it's pretty rich. Yeah, it's not easy to all that. Walking on there. Been for a while. Yeah. 6 years. 6 years. New faces, I guess. I can't see it. Long turnaround. What is kind of cool about our job, I guess, is we don't have to be in the office every day. We work for hours, essentially. So we don't really have to be there. Yeah. So sometimes I'll go like weeks without actually. Yeah. When I was looking at Pennsylvania, my friends worked on the TV, and they still have to go and let it roll off, and they had like chart and shit, I think, or something. Yeah. Yeah. Every BD's, stays a little different. Yeah. Feel like even like, they're not doing really anything. Burlington PD, they got going and like actually clocking in, like physically. With like paper. It's like digital, yeah, but it's digital now, yeah. Yeah. Like, I think they use their badge or ID or something, they like scan it in, so it's all recorded on site. Do you want this close? I just want to walk by. No, it's okay. It's okay. I gotta be nuts when I'm not trying to work. Everybody walks by, talks, whatever. To me, it's like I can't just distract. That's why I'm I'm in here right now. Or I'll close the door to my office or something. Keep it warm. Yeah. You drink coffee? Yeah. Yeah, I just drank a shot of espresso. Oh, you did? Yeah. Yeah, at the Maple Fields there? Yeah. Usually guys will have coffee on the spot, they don't grab some. In that break room that we were just standing by, they didn't have any. That wasn't coffee. I appreciate the thought. Yeah, of course. When I, whoever comes in here, coffee, step out, see if I can track some down for you. Do you have anything else, Joe? We'll get you more water, of course. I think there's some tea floating around here. I'm not sure what kind of tea. So, every now and then, I like sodas and stuff in the fridge.
Is it just me, or does he seem a little too casual for somebody who just shot someone in the head?
I haven't done that in a long time. But I used to do it every day. And that's why I haven't done it in a while. I can still so vividly picture the face. Yeah. All I'll be, mix it up. Guess it's never been good. I don't think it's supposed to be though. Yeah, I guess usually, like for me, I just chug it. And I used to care about the consistency and I just don't care. Yeah.
And I know it's hard to hear, guys. Sorry.
Who was I supposed to talk to? I don't know. JP. There is a JP here, is that what they said? Yeah, please, you'll talk to me. Huh? I'm not sure. I got a whole towel over there. Got it? I mean, I see people in the house, and I'm not sure if it's somebody else. They're probably putting it all together and just, to be in front of it. I'm not sure. They're probably prep work. Obviously, those conversations I'm not part of, because I'm here with you, so I didn't know I did. Next update from my wife today was, my daughter's first day daycare. Oh, awesome. Yeah, good pictures and stuff? Not yet. I asked for some. So she's just texting me updates and she's doing well. Daycare, or daycare preschool. It's just a daycare. It's daycare. She's only here. Oh, wow, okay, she's super good. Yeah. So I was nervous this morning. You were? Yeah. She's never done a daycare anything before. She's got to come back with like the runny nose. Yeah, right. Probably give me nothing to worry about. And then you're going to get a runny nose. Oh, the kids are like little petri dishes, man. They just breed germs. Yeah, everywhere. They haven't built the antibodies, so like it gets to like a stronger version of the virus, and then you can get your ass kicked by it. Yeah. That's how I got what I believe was COVID. Did you? That was 2019. This cute little kid, really his entire face was they were beautiful. They had huge like sausage for eyeballs, like big long lashes like this. Yeah. And I'm holding the arms like this. I'm looking at it. So sick from this. So I just gave it out on my lap. You know, my ex was like, I gotta get this room clean with this kid. Sure enough, you get sick. So it was like, yeah, I think it was COVID. It was like, did you lose like smell and taste and all that? Not really. Yeah, so not really. It was kind of like your run-of-the-mill sort of flu. Yeah, yeah. I were coughing for like 3 weeks. Yeah. You know, that was getting all pretty. So a lot of people say it's just a bad cold or bad flu. That brain like lost taste, you lost smell. Yeah, I get a little bit like my congestion, but like I think that's pretty typical. Like, yeah, any sinus, just like anything. Yeah, yeah. One of my family friends had it. Same thing. I didn't know. I just thought I had my nose. Yeah. It's fine. But tested positive. Yeah. Felt fine. You know, just slept a little extra for a week. Was good. Yeah. Seems to be pretty more common than not. The bad cases are pretty few and far between. in Pennsylvania now? Or that's where you used to live? That's where I was born. That's where you're born? Yeah. Wonder how it is there. Just every state you go to is obviously different. Like with how the common person feels about the whole situation. I went to visit my in-laws in New York. And everywhere around there, nowhere. Like you didn't hide on the pandemic, no one cared. He was wearing a mask. You know, about Florida doing the same thing. And then you go up here, it's like everybody's wearing a mask. You feel like where you were. You know, I masked and I didn't mask and I touched things and I didn't use hand sanitizer every second. And really, I just lived my life the way I was living it. Yeah. I just tested negative. Yeah. I'm pretty sure whatever the fuck that thing was in 19 was the thing. The big bad looking monster. Yeah, right. Of the super flu that we had to shut America down for. Crazy times. Yeah. Honestly, like, I mean, I guess picture yourself being America and you have like $1 trillion debt that somebody's calling in. What's the easiest way to like break the economy? Just break it. And it's broken. It's broken. Yeah.
Hey, PT.
But then you know you're not. But then on the low, like everybody's like spending their savings. So then but then it's done back up. Yeah. I imagine that's gotta be pissing some people off, probably.
And just remember, guys, this is at 1.25 speed. So think how casually he's sitting there, and we think he's talking slow with the 1.25 speed. On regular speed, he's extra slow.
Joe, you got it?
So casual.
Do you have a preference? Whatever's your view. Whatever you prefer. I'm James. James. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. All right, Seth. How are you?
K-Dubs, thank you for the $25 Cash App. You are amazing. The message. Oh, come on. For support the squids. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Peachy, he's in a blanket because it's Vermont in October, and I guess that's just what you do.
Okay. I'm just happy to hang right there. I don't need it right now. All right.
Flash fan, this is at 1.25 speed. Should we try 1.5 speed and see what it's like?
Yeah, appreciate it. It just, we're just gonna shut the doors for privacy purposes. I'm sure you saw just a few people walking around. Do you need anything? I see you got water, somebody got you some food? Yeah, I'm good. All right, so like I said, my name is James, this is Seth. We work for the state police, we're detectives. And we've been trying to get up to speed on what's going on today, and it's our understanding that you might be able to help us understand a few things. We are happy to listen. Our ultimate goal is to find Emily. And we're hoping that you can help us with that. Before we get going, I just want to be fair to you. Obviously, we're here in state police barracks, right? And I just said we're in state police. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of the rights that you have. So I'll read these to you. We're here in St. Albans, Vermont. Are you from Vermont? Not really. I've been with here since 2012. Okay, as long as you.
The blueberry.
Today is 19th of October. Up in this area the whole time, or? No, I'm trying to work in Essex area. Yeah, all right, down over here. I'll read these to you, and let's ask that if you understand them, you tell me yes, and I'll go over them again, okay? So the first one says that you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that? Yeah. Anything you say can be used against you in court of law. Right. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before questioning, and to have a lawyer present with you during any questioning. Make sense? Of course. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you at public expense before any questioning, if you wish. In Vermont, that is called a public defender. Make sense? If you decide to answer questions, you may stop the questioning at any time. Make sense? Yes. Do you understand each of these rights I've explained to you? Yes. Do you want to talk to me now? Yes. Okay. So this next section is just a waiver. It says I've been advised that I have the right to remain silent, to be represented by a lawyer, to talk with one prior to questioning, and to have one present during questioning. Knowing my rights, I agree to waive them and talk to you now. No threats or promises have been made to me. So if you agree to that, so you sign right here. Right. Sorry.
I'm getting psychopath vibes.
It's 2:45 p.m. All right. So Joe, is it fair to say that you have an idea of what we want to talk about? Yeah. All right. I'm here to talk to you. Like, you don't have to be around. Okay. I'm sure you already talked to Spencer. I fucked up. Like I said, like I had a fucking last. And it's something that I can't undo. So here we are. All right. Well, why don't we, I think what would be helpful for me is just have you start from the beginning of what happened, and start from the beginning, and we'll listen. And then, maybe at the end we'll have a few questions. We'll go from there.
I was living in New Hampshire for like the last 2 months, with my wife and her family, and I came to Vermont. We're supposed to have like a weekend away, like vacation, do some camping, like have some fun. And like as soon as I like put the vehicle in park, like my wife went completely, was her like completely psychotic, and I shot her as a result of that. And
Way too chill.
now here we are. So,
All right. Can you, where did that happen?
Bolton, Vermont.
Okay. All right. So, I guess my next question is, when did that happen? Saturday. Do you know about what time? Saturday evening? Right.
No, wait. No. Saturday morning. And I think I was it was like, yeah, it was Saturday morning. That's what it was.
Okay.
I got my day screwed on.
Okay. I appreciate you clarifying that for me.
That's it. You mentioned I've been home for days. My mind isn't right now, so.
So tell me about like how, your wife said Emily, correct? Tell me about you and Emily getting to Bolton, like when you got there, how you got there, the vehicle you were in, that kind of thing.
We drove the machete. Guess we got that right. Huh?
Where were you guys coming from?
New Hampshire.
So you go straight from New Hampshire to Bolton? Okay. Where in Bolton? Bolton's a big town.
The resort.
Can you describe it to me?
The big resort.
Yeah.
Ski resort.
Yeah, there's a bunch of buildings up there, right?
Yeah.
So whereabouts were you guys when all this happened? Where were you headed?
My sister was like Airbnb, so I was like using an opportunity to like spend time with my family.
Okay.
And we just went terrible, it went so south.
All right. Do you know where at the resort? Like, had you arrived at the resort when this happened?
Yeah, like we were there, and we stopped and typical, like got some stuff to drink, trying to like listen to music. I was trying to put some candles on, have some wine, and throwing the candles around, telling people to put them out, turn the music on.
I mean, I know I keep saying it, but I can't get over how calm he is.
They just turned on punching and kicking, and just a lot of hurtful things. I can't even remember all of them, but all I know is I was just dumbfounded that make all this effort to like try to do something nice. Just gonna treat things shit.
When we're talking about the candles and the wine stuff, is that the Airbnb you're talking about, or is that in your RV?
In the RV.
Was it part of that, the resort?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it near the Airbnb that your sister was at?
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with Deer, is there just like a parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay, is that where this happened?
Yes.
Okay. And so, when you say there was a lot of kicking and punching, like who was kicking and punching?
I don't take a punch. Like,
You don't?
I don't.
Okay.
I've never heard all of that until now. I don't engage.
Okay.
Like, I am punching back.
So,
And I didn't want to be punching back anymore.
so was Emily punching you?
I just had like a moment, and then like, I don't know, like, I just,
Where was she punching you?
in my arm, and like, kicking me and running, like, just like body blows and, shoes, shorts.
And was this kind of the punching and kicking, was that occurring inside the van? Or do you call it a van? Is that what it's called?
And whatever you try to,
Okay.
whatever you like, in the vehicle.
The vehicle.
That's better.
Works for me. Okay. So the vehicle's parked up at Bolton near the Airbnb, and kind of the situation between you and Emily is occurring inside of the van. How does that turn into, I heard you say you shot her, so explain how that incident continued.
I don't even know. sat down and like was. Like something inside my head, just like I remember feeling really warm, and I remember feeling blurry, and I don't know, something inside me said enough is enough.
Okay. And what did you shoot her with?
A pistol.
Okay, do you know what kind of pistol?
It was a Glock pistol.
A Glock. Whose Glock is it? Okay. Where is the Glock now?
In the bus.
It's in the bus. Okay. Can you describe Emily when you shot her? And what was she doing?
She had stopped fighting, and she'd gone and laid down, and jumped on top of her. And I shot her.
How many times? Okay. What did you do next?
Oh no, Tammy.
I had like an anxiety attack, and I don't know. I don't know if that's not.
Okay. Describe what you mean when you say you cleaned up.
Like blood coming over her head, so I put a bag over it, so catch the blood. And there's blood on the pillows. Just like everything.
Okay. What kind of bag?
Just trash bag.
Like a trash bag. Okay. Are those still in the bus? Okay. Where's Emily?
She's in the
Where in the bus?
bathroom.
She's in the bathroom. I haven't been in the bus. So can you describe the bus for me? Like, what's the layout? Walk through the doors.
Bathroom, in addition to
Okay.
It'd be easier to control the diagram showing us. Is that not
Absolutely. Because the bus, I did see it from the outside, it's pretty big. Look at
shower.
He's not even shaking or anything.
Which is the front of the bus and that?
Would you mind just, maybe just for reference for us, just labeling what you hear? So you said this is the bathroom?
Is everybody in agreement that we can skip this because he testifies?
Could you label that one too? And then the bed. So, just so I understand, so the incident where you jumped on top of her and shoot her, that occurred.
Or you want to get to the correct one, just put your name on that, just so I'll wait for the lead through it.
I kind of want to hear this part, and we can skip it.
Just to reference this picture for a second, hold this up. Yeah, the incident that you described where you jump on top of her and shot her twice in the head, that occurred on the bed, this bed here, at the back of the bus. And then you explained that, you put the bag on her because she's bleeding, and you cleaned up.
Wait, he
Just
takes off
so I
the.
understand, how did she get from the bed to the bathroom?
Carried her.
You carried her?
Yes, sir.
Was it obvious that she was deceased?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you move her to the bathroom?
That's trying to clean the blood from the things that are there.
Okay, so like the blanket was up underneath her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why'd you move her to the bathroom? Because there would be blood everywhere. Did I hear that right? Like, oh, he skips, he gets out of the blanket, and then shit must be getting real because he gets out of the
Thing, really, like we like, what do I do? That kind of thing? You do like Google searches or Safari searches about what you should do? No. Didn't look up anything?
No.
Okay.
Like,
Just asking.
oh, and she's 42, by the way. She was 22.
We'll write a couple more days, maybe, hold up.
Right. This takes us to the end of the day.
I think the other important thing I wanted to just circle back to is the timeline of Friday.
I will reiterate my admonition. Please don't talk about this case with anyone. Please don't try and find out anything about this case with any resource about anything, because this case may very well be, we've discussed. Want to bring up?
I just want to renew my objection to the admission of the testimony concerning the dismemberment. Having heard more of the specifics now than we discussed in voir dire, I would like the testimony excluded from the jury's consideration because it's so highly emotional and emotionally charged and highly prejudicial.
Wait.
I would like it excused, so I'm renewing my objection.
I'll give
Emotionally charged? He wasn't showing any emotion at all. Chick, you're crazy. Oh yeah. Yeah. Did we fail to mention that part? He stabbed her 18 times and then took her apart. I don't know, like,
give a more detailed basis for why it's coming in outside of the presence of
Thank you.
the jury. Folks, please have a good weekend. Try and enjoy it.
All right.
I don't like that freaking attorney reminds me of the person who's selling the house for my landlord. And I don't like her. Cross your fingers, though. We are going to look at a house tomorrow. Is there going to be any more talking, or are we done? We are done.
Any other issues
Maybe.
discussed?
No, thank you.
Nope.
Thank you, Judge.
We are done with day one. Like, I understand why she'd want it excluded. However, I understand she has to try. But that was quite possibly the absolute stupidest reason to get it excluded that I've ever seen in my life. It's highly charged or highly emotionally charged. That dude wasn't showing any freaking emotion ever. Like, no. Yeah, cross your fingers. We found a house that's in our price range, has a couple acres, and is smaller than I would ultimately like, but when you're balling on a budget, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Some concessions have to be made, and size is one of them, but it has a really nice kitchen, at least in pictures. So let's get to day 2, shall we? And we are still in the interrogation. If you are all in agreement, we can skip it. They start directly with the interrogation. They don't record when the jury came in. They don't record anything that was said before. So we just get straight into the interrogation. And holy tattoos. But we can skip it. If y'all are cool with that. Probably not. Mr. Squid and I will probably share a space, but I think I'm gonna put like a divider, like Megan has, so that we kind of get our own spaces, and so that he can move in the room without being seen, because you know how he loves the camera. I don't remember that guy having as big dark circles yesterday. Come on.
Explain, there's there's a time at the bottom, a running time. Is that the actual time of day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when we just
you,
ended the
K-Dubs.
video, it was approximately 5:07 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. During that entire interview with Mr. Ferlazzo, did he ever say that he was unable or unwilling to speak to you?
No.
Did he ever say that he felt forced to speak with you?
No.
And did you provide him with anything that he asked for?
Yes, we provided him with food, coffee, water, cigarettes, bathroom breaks, a blanket.
And did he consume those things?
Some of those things, yes.
And K-Dubs, thank you for the $5 super chat for your new house. Poor Marine, does this work now? Yes, it worked. It's technically new construction. So, and the owner is a real estate agent. So I'm pretty sure like it was built by the company and then the company just has a real estate agent that sells the house. So hopefully it's small, but it has a nice kitchen. Yeah, I would ultimately like bigger, but we can always upgrade later.
I'm going to show you what's in Marco Estates 21. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what it is?
It's a transcript of the recorded interview.
And does that include everything said in the interview room?
Yes, I believe so.
Does it also record the breaks?
I believe it records the breaks as well.
Your Honor, the state moves to States 21.
No objection.
One submitted without objection.
At some point, do you move Mr. Ferlazzo to a different space?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall approximately what time that was?
I believe it was about 40 minutes after the 40 minutes where he laid on the floor, just before 6 o'clock, I believe.
Okay. And where was that space?
So at the St. Albans Barracks, we were in the interview room. We moved him to a secure holding cell.
Okay. And did you speak with him while he was in the cell?
I did,
Multiple times or just once?
multiple times.
During any of the cigarette breaks or times you?
K-Dubs, thank you for the largest Cash App that I've ever received. Well, $100 Cash App. Let me know if you need advice. You are amazing, and oh my God, like I don't even know. Like people helped us out after the hurricane, but like this is just amazing, and I don't know how to express my gratitude enough. Like
You went
I think every day for this
asking more
YouTube.
questions about Emily.
There was one occasion where we asked questions about Emily. All the other occasions were to check on him, cigarette break, provide him food, that type of thing.
Okay. And the time that you did ask him more questions about Emily, do you recall when that was?
I believe it was shortly after 9 p.m.
Okay. And was this recorded?
Yes, it was.
In which way?
So the holding cell has a recording system. It's audio, video. So the audio wasn't captured for some reason on that system. So there's video. And then as a backup, we have a digital recorder that I had in my pocket because sometimes technology breaks. So the audio is captured on the digital recorder.
Okay. And when you went in to speak with him again, did you tell him that you had more questions for him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you read him his Miranda warnings again?
I didn't reread them. I had the form, the Miranda waiver that he had previously signed. I showed it to him and I explained all of his rights still apply. It was his choice if he wanted to talk, and we had more questions.
Okay. And what was his response to that?
I believe he said, what are your questions?
Okay. And how long did you speak with him?
It was about 20 minutes.
Great. And have you reviewed the recording that was in your pocket?
Yes, I have.
The state identified that as states 20. You reviewed that before your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the conversation?
Yes, it is.
And did we also provide you with a transcription of this conversation?
Yes.
And that's marked as states 22. Judge, the state would move to admit states 20 and 22.
No objection.
22 are admitted without objection.
Are there points during this audio that are hard to hear?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury why that is?
So the handheld digital recorder that I use, I keep it in my pocket. So occasionally you can just hear like the rustling of my jacket.
Poor Marine, thank you for the $20 super chat.
October 19th, 2021.
Thanks for having my 6 today. Worried about the other person. That was crazy. Yeah, it is what it is, but no one tells a vet. I'm gonna air some laundry right now, but no one tells someone on a different platform. You have a disagreement on YouTube, fine. You don't like someone on YouTube, fine, but you don't go to Twitter and tell them that they need therapy. That's especially a vet. Like, there's just some things you don't say, and that's one of them. And when someone else got involved and tried to antagonize the conversation even more, I shut that shit down right away and told her that she's part of the problem too and to not get involved. And she never responded. So there was that. But thank you.
How was the pizza? Yeah, it's okay. Gets old after a while, you know? We had a few more things we were hoping to talk about. Is that something you're willing to do? Go back into the other room? We just wanted to clarify a few more things. Totally your choice. Or if you don't want to walk all the way down there, we could do it in here, but we prefer to just sit at that table, but whatever you're more comfortable with, again, is your choice. You want us to just ask them in here? Okay, you said yeah, right? I'm gonna step in, just before I ask the question, I just want to show you this form. We went over it earlier with all your rights. I just want you to know that this Miranda form that you signed earlier, all these still apply, you know, so this is still in place. So at any point you want to talk to us, you just let us know, okay? Seth and I appreciate the conversation that we had, the honesty that you provided, and it's taken us some time to try to, you know, we like to do check and verify things, right? And so we appreciate, the details that you told us earlier, help us understand what's going on. I guess my first question, before we get to some other specific ones, is there anything that has come to mind sitting in here that you want to share with us? Any details we haven't talked about yet? So nothing's come up that you're like, oh, I wish I should have told him this, or I wish I had told him that? Okay. All right, and, yeah, I think we have a couple.
So I think we talked a little bit about it before, about the items that you take out. Glasses and stuff, and so I was hoping that you just, if you can remember anything more about the bag that you put that in.
It was like a food shopping bag.
Do you remember what color it was or anything though? Okay, okay. And you talked about that you're very confident that you put that bag in a garbage can at the commercial gas station. Did you put that white bag in the other bag, or did you put the white bag in the garbage? I mean, did you put it in a black bag before you put it in garbage or anything like that, or something like that?
Pretty sure it was just a white bag.
I appreciate that.
When you say food shopping bag, was it paper, was it plastic? A plastic. Do you know where it was from? Oh, right, I remember saying that. Did you buy something at Shaw's or the Market Basket that would help kind of recall like what bag it was? So you actually gotten it recently, or is it old? Older. Okay. All right.
And then, you told us earlier that you grabbed the lock out of the closet and jumped on the bed. So I was hoping you to talk briefly about, when you jumped on, you jumped on the bed or jumped on her correctly? That kind of play out.
Jumped on, well, yeah, like jumped on the bed. I jumped on her, she was on the bed, like.
Okay. And you mentioned, when we talked before, you said that you don't believe she was sleeping because she was still kind of saying stuff under her breath at you. When you jumped on her, did she say anything to you?
Something like, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
And then, what was her reaction to you?
It was just, yeah, okay. Just jumped on her.
Thank you, Hung Hero.
Something like that.
So
Did she try to fight you or anything like that?
I feel like she's going to keep objecting, but she doesn't.
Was it you jumped on?
Is it just me, or does her body language is like, I want to stand up and object. I want to stand up and object. I want to stand up and object, but she knows she's going to get overruled, so she just sits there. But I'm going to skip through the rest of this because she's literally we're just watching her fidget back and forth. Like, yeah, I used the words, stop. I told somebody to stop being a disrespectful cuntosaurus on Twitter tonight. So I'm actually proud of myself for that one. Yeah, she looks annoyed. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. She looks like she should be from Georgia and a judgy grandmother. She looks like my mother-in-law. Sorry, we're just gonna skip through this because she's not talking and they're not actually showing the video. I have RBF, but she makes me look like, Nick Cindy Lou Who. I dislike 3 teams: Ohio State, Georgia, and always overrate Bama. Well, we can agree on 2 out of the 3. She knows nothing she can do to protect him. Yeah, and I understand everybody's entitled to a defense, but theirs doesn't fit the facts. So let me see if she actually objects.
We provide the information and they tell us what we should do, and then most likely you'll have a court appearance tomorrow at some point. I think in Chittenden it might be in the afternoon at 1 p.m., but I'm not positive. So we should know a little bit more about where you're going tonight in a little while. But obviously with the information that you provided, and we appreciate it, and the information that we've learned throughout the investigation, we have located Emily and she's deceased, so that we have to deal with that. Make sense? Any questions on that?
Just have to fingerprint around you.
All right, we're gonna step out. You need anything right now? Okay, we can do that. It is now 9:38 p.m.
Why don't we take our morning break now?
All right, morning break. I don't mind listening to her questions that she asks him about the interrogation, but like, I understand that they have to play the interrogation for the jury. I really do. But sometimes it's like, if you're asking him questions about it, oh, there's a jury. They're right. So look at the prosecutor. They are basically behind the camera. So, too cute. Yay. Comes the jury. But this courtroom is super, super tiny. Like, super tiny. and the acoustics suck. Like I know they're doing it, but if you look in the, if you're looking,
Jury is all present and accounted for.
okay, I'm gonna back that up a couple seconds because look at the window in the door behind the behind the defense attorney when the jury comes in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Please be seated.
maybe either 12 or
Jury is
14
all
people.
present and accounted for. We'll proceed
So-
after our morning break. Ms. Joy.
Thank you, Judge.
Hey, Robert.
Detective Sergeant Voris, what is the approximate total time that you spoke to Mr. Ferlazzo on the 19th?
I believe it was about 3 hours.
And at the end of the audio that we just heard, it appeared that you asked Mr. Ferlazzo if he was willing to sign a sworn statement form.
Yes, ma'am.
And showing you which been marked as states 129. Is that the form you were going over with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Move to admit states 129.
Any objection?
No objection, thank you.
Exhibit 129, states 129 is admitted without objection.
Is this the form that I just showed you?
Yes.
And so in the audio, in the down the right corner there, is that where Mr. Ferlazzo signed?
Yes.
When you asked him if he was willing to sign this, did he make any indications that what he told you wasn't truthful?
That sucks.
No, he did not.
I got out of jury duty this year.
Before moving on, the individual that you spoke with and is on the video with you, is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Identified as Joseph Ferlazzo?
Yes, he's at the table, blue shirt, black tie.
Thank you. Judge, the state would ask that the record reflect Mr. Ferlazzo has been identified.
That reflected.
I got
Have
excluded
you
from jury duty.
interviewed individuals related to homicide cases prior to this one?
Yes.
Do you know how many approximately you were the case officer on?
At that time, I believe it was around 10, maybe, approximately.
And have you done others since?
Yes, since then, I've been assisted or been the lead on about 50 homicide cases throughout Vermont. I would say the lead on 15 of them.
And in your experience, is it common for people to appear tired or stressed during those interviews?
Yes.
Have people declined to speak with you during those interviews?
Yes, they have.
Have people told you that they don't feel comfortable speaking with you
Yes.
or that they aren't in the right state of mind to provide an accurate statement?
Maybe not in those exact words, but people have declined to speak with me for a variety of reasons.
Did Mr. Ferlazzo ever make any such statements during the time you spoke to him?
Never.
He did make a few statements about his mind not being right. Did that concern you in a way that made you question his ability to give a statement?
It didn't concern me from my standpoint because Mr. Ferlazzo was articulate. He was responsive to my questions. He said he wanted to talk like very early on. There was no concern about his ability to interact and converse with me.
And after you concluded the interview with him or with anybody, what's the sort of next steps you take in an investigation?
So I call it like check and verify. So when someone tells us something, we try to prove it right or prove it accurate and see if there's other evidence that supports what we're being told.
Actually, before we move on to that, I'm going to show you what's been marked as states 13. You recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the jury what that is?
This is a sketch that Mr. Ferlazzo drew during our interview.
Ooh,
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what he drew?
Yes, ma'am.
State would remove state 13.
Any objection?
Oh, I'm sorry. No objection.
States 13 is admitted without objection.
And is this that sketch?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little bit small, but can you kind of describe to the jury what it is?
So it's the sketch during the interview when Seth and I, or Detective Sergeant Richardson and I, were talking about the layout of the camper van with Mr. Ferlazzo. He drew the sketch. It's kind of maybe appears upside down on the screen, but the bed is at the top. And then he depicted a couch, a closet, the bathroom, and he depicted the location where Emily currently was at the time of the interview.
Thank you. Okay, so the check and verify, is that what you called it?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, did you, after you interviewed Mr. Ferlazzo, did you work to confirm or deny things that he'd made in his statement?
Yes.
Statements that he'd made? And were you able, during the course of your investigation, were you able to verify any of the statements that he made?
Yes, we were.
And specifically starting with the location of the incident, were you able to confirm?
Yes. We spoke with his sister, Nikki, and she provided information that was consistent with what Joe provided us. Emily's geolocation data was consistent with being at Bolton Friday evening.
And he told you that the homicide had occurred while Emily was in bed. Were you able to verify that?
Yes.
Okay, and how were you able to verify that?
The physical evidence is consistent with that. The pillow from the bed sheets, the bed itself.
And what about where he shot her on her body?
Yes, that was confirmed during autopsy.
Okay. And he made statements about firearms located in the van.
Yes.
Were you able to verify that?
Yes, there were firearms located in the van.
How many firearms were located in the van?
I believe it was 2 handguns and 3 long guns.
That's overkill for a
Describe what a long gun is.
man.
Like a rifle. I think there was like a short-barreled rifle, a shotgun, and another rifle, and then 2 handguns.
Did he tell you during your interview that Emily owned any of those guns?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you that Emily had a gun?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you that Emily slept with a gun under her pillow?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you that Emily possessed or used a gun at any point?
No, he did not.
May we approach?
Uh-oh. She's gonna complain. What's she gonna complain about? Because she has nothing. Their defense is that Emily slept with a gun underneath, that she owned underneath her pillow. And when she was acting crazy, he pulled it out. Where she pulled it on him. And that doesn't fit what we've seen so far. Her mother testified that she didn't own a gun. She never talked about owning a gun. If that would have been his story from the start, he would have told the cops. With as calm as he was, he would have told the cops it was her gun, this and that, but he never did. Therefore, his story is not fitting the facts presented. I'm just, Valentine's Day last year, which means you're 18 months not pregnant. Is that the I have a question. Is your avatar, is that the one with Vices in it? Vices, Megan, and Tug?
Judge, actually, I'm going to start with a stipulation. Did you confirm where Mr. Ferlazzo was the following morning?
Yes.
Where did you confirm that he was?
We obtained video of him out to breakfast at Maxie's in Waterbury, Vermont.
Judge, if the court could read stipulation states number 117.
All right, there's no objection to the admission of one.
No objection, Judge.
Okay, stipulation number 2, members of the jury, the state and defendant Joseph Ferlazzo have agreed that you may find certain facts. This is called a stipulation. A member of the Vermont State Police collected surveillance video and a purchase receipt from Maxie's restaurant in Waterbury, Vermont from the morning of October 16, 2021. That surveillance video and a copy of the receipt was added to the case file and reviewed by Detective James Horace. The authenticity of the surveillance video and purchase receipt is not being challenged. Chain of custody of the surveillance video and purchase receipt is also not being challenged. As with any evidence in this case, in this trial, you must decide what weight you will give this stipulation. And that's admitted as States 1, 17.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as states 14 and 15. Recognize these?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the jury what they are?
15 is the receipt from Maxie's from October 16th, and 14 is a screenshot from the video from Maxie's.
State would move to admit.
Any objections?
No objection.
14 and 15 are admitted without objection.
Detective Sergeant Boris, is this the screenshot from the surveillance?
Yes.
Can you just tell the jury sort of what they're looking at here?
This is inside Maxie's restaurant in Waterbury, and Mr. Ferlazzo is in the kind of in the middle, maybe upper left side of the screen near the door.
And is this the receipt from the breakfast that morning?
Yes.
Were you able to confirm where Mr. Ferlazzo went Saturday night with his sister?
Yes.
Where was that?
The Twiggs Restaurant in St. Albans, Vermont.
Judge of State would ask the court to read stipulation number 3, states 118.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
States 118 is admitted. I'll read stipulation number 3. Members of the jury, the state and defendant Joseph Ferlazzo have agreed that you may find certain facts. It's called a stipulation. A member of the Vermont State Police collected surveillance video from Twiggs Restaurant in St. Albans, Vermont from the evening of October 16, 2021. That surveillance video was added to the case file and reviewed by Detective James Horace. The authenticity of the surveillance video is not being challenged. The chain of custody of the surveillance video is also not being challenged. As with any evidence in this trial, you must decide what weight you will give this stipulation. State 118 is in.
Did you provide still shots from, surveillance videos from inside of Twiggs?
Yes.
And do we have 2 different angles of that?
Yes.
Have you reviewed them prior to your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
Okay. The state would move to admit states 16 and 17.
No objection.
States 16 and 17 are admitted without objection.
Thanks, General, for sending me the pictures.
Does that clip just show Mr. Ferlazzo in Twiggs?
Yes.
Is this also?
And on that note, I will
Yes,
be
it
right
is.
back.
Were you able to, did you ever locate Emily's stuff that Mr. Ferlazzo indicated he'd thrown away?
We did not.
Okay, and that was her phone and her wallet,
And her glasses, yes.
glasses. And did members of VSP attempt to find these items?
Yes, we did. We were unsuccessful.
And you were looking, how long after he allegedly threw these things out were you looking for them?
So we had several detectives and troopers that were assisting in the investigation starting, on the 19th, which were several days after this all occurred.
Right, okay. Were you able to confirm whether or not he gave his sister a tattoo?
Yes, we did confirm that happened.
And at some point during the interview, were investigators able to locate Emily's body?
Yes,
And was she located where Mr. Ferlazzo said she would be?
yes, she was in the bathroom area of the camper van.
Was her body in the condition that Mr. Ferlazzo said it would be?
Yes, it was.
Did you locate the saw that Mr. Ferlazzo said he used?
Members of the crime scene search team located it in the camper van in the area where he said it was behind the driver's seat.
Was there anything you learned after the investigation that Mr. Ferlazzo did not tell you during the interview?
Yes.
What was that?
I learned after Emily's autopsy that she also sustained stab wounds.
During your investigation, were you able to determine how tall Mr. Ferlazzo is
Yes.
and how much he weighed?
Yes.
And what was,
I determined that through his DMV records.
and what is his height and what did he weigh?
It was 6 feet tall and approximately 200 pounds.
Did that seem consistent with your interactions with him?
Yes.
As part of the investigation, did you seek a warrant for call detail records for the phone number and physical phone belonging to Mr. Ferlazzo?
Yes, we had, there were separate search warrants for his phone number, a search warrant for Emily's phone number, and a search warrant for Joseph's physical cell phone.
And did you receive those records in return?
Yes, we received records for both phone numbers and for, the cell phone went to our technology unit.
Did you review the records?
So the call detail records or the records associated with the cell phone carrier. So Joseph's phone number was 802, I think it was AT&T, and Emily's phone number started with 603 area code. Those carrier records I looked at briefly, but ultimately are analyzed by our technology unit. And then I did look at the data that came off of his phone myself.
Okay. Judge, stipulation number 4 states 119.
What is it,
Any
Sarah?
objection?
What is it?
Any objection to 119?
No, thank you. No, Judge, no objection.
Stipulation
Can't
number 4,
object.
members of the
Like,
jury,
even if you didn't have an
Joseph
objection.
Ferlazzo have agreed that you may find certain facts. This is called a stipulation. Vermont State Police searched a red Jeep Wrangler belonging to Joseph Ferlazzo pursuant to a search warrant on October 19th, 2021. During that search, an iPhone belonging to Joseph Ferlazzo was collected by Detective Sergeant Aaron McNeil. The iPhone was tagged as item, quote, Jeep number 2, end of quote, / quote, item 14, end of quote, and delivered to the Vermont State Police Technology Investigation Unit, in parentheses, TIU, end of parentheses. The iPhone was in the same condition upon arrival at the TIU as it was when collected from the Jeep during the search on October 19th, 2021. An extraction was done of Joseph Ferlazzo's iPhone, in parentheses, AKA, quote, item 14, end of quote, in the paragraph by Detective Eric Jollymore and added to the case file. That extraction was done in accordance with his training, and the authenticity of that extraction is not being challenged. Chain of custody of the iPhone belonging to Mr. Ferlazzo is not being challenged. As with any evidence in this trial, you must decide what weight you will give this stipulation. Page 19.
So yesterday when I was reading the latest amended complaint in the What the Hales case, remember how I said for those of you who are new to trial watching and reading legal documents, a lot of them are very repetitive. These stipulations, literally only the first paragraph that the judge is reading is actually different, but he has to read the same thing over and over again just to get it in the record. So that's one of the reasons that we do these trials at night and on a faster speed, because a lot of it is just court repetition.
So after the technology unit extracts that data and sends that portable case to you, how does that portable case look from your end?
So I received the case from the technology unit. We call it a portable case. It's on, in this circumstance, it was on a hard drive, like a portable hard drive. And I plug it into the computer. I can open the program on my desktop, and then I can review the data that was on the device.
Okay. And is that program pretty user-friendly?
Extremely user-friendly, yes.
Is there any training provided in order to use it?
There's no training required to read a portable case. I have taken training to create portable cases and to extract cell phones myself. I didn't do that in this case, but the portable case it's very user-friendly.
Okay. So were you able to review any text messages from Mr. Ferlazzo's phone to Emily's phone between the time she was killed and the time she was located?
Yes.
Were there any messages sent from Emily's phone to Joseph's phone during that time period?
No, all of the messages were sent from Joseph's phone to Emily.
I'm gonna show you what's marked as state-sensitive. 4 pages. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell the jury what this is?
Debbie, we are so grateful. I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for K-Dubs and everybody who supports this channel. Let me reinforce and remind everybody how grateful I am for you, because yes, I do this, and yes, I do this for fun to earn a little extra money, but this is your hard-earned money and hard work that you are paying forward to me. And please know that it does not go unappreciated.
These are the messages that were observed, from Joseph's phone within that portable case that were sent to Emily's phone number.
It's to admit.
Any objection to it?
No objection.
18 is admitted.
She's talking.
Detective Sergeant Boris, can you just read the messages to the jury and the date and time they were sent?
Yes. October 16th, 2021 at 1:09:58 p.m. Message sent, babe. On October 16th, 2021 at 1:20:49 p.m. Message sent, what are you doing? Talk to me, please. On October 16th, 2021 at 1:52:47 p.m. The message was sent that read, where are you, Lovey? I wanted to ride with you today. On October 16th, 2021 at 2:02:18 p.m. The message was sent that read, I'm at the Langs, call me. On October 16th, 2021 at 2:02:47 p.m. Message sent, the tranny on the bus is smoking, with a emoji. On October 16th, 2021 at 2:57:18 p.m. Message was sent, whatever. I'm going to spend time with Nikki while I can. Call me. On October 16th, 2021 at 8:09:48 p.m. WTF, babe. On October 17th, 2021 at 8:45:24 a.m. Message read, good morning, Bubby. I miss you. Please call me. Nikki just messaged me. You want to meet up in Burlington for some snacks and whatnot. On October 17th, 2021 at 2:03:02 p.m. The message read, hello, question mark, question mark. On October 17th, 2021 at 8 p.m. The message was sent that read, please M, pick up. On October 17th, 2021 at 8:12:12 p.m. Message 2 emojis were sent. On October 18th, 2021 at 12:05:48 a.m. The message read, this is far enough. Get your ass home. I got to go back to NH. Are you coming back? On October 18th, 2021 at 12:05:48 a.m. I believe that's the same message I just read. On October 18th, 2021 at 1:05:36 a.m. Random question, where is the extension cord? I want to plug the fan in. October 18th, 2021 at 9:06:19 a.m. Good morning, baby, with an emoji. On October 18th, 2021 at 10:25:51 a.m. You're an asshole. I don't deserve this shit.
Is that all of the messages that were sent?
I believe so, yes.
Ms. Anthony Cross.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Morning, Detective Sergeant Boris.
Good morning.
This should be good.
On October 19th, the day Mr. Ferlazzo was interrogated by you and Detective Richardson, Spencer Lemons had already contacted the police through the 911 call and relayed to the police information that he had saying that Mr. Ferlazzo admitted to killing Emily. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And on October 19th, police were actively looking for Mr. Ferlazzo, correct?
Yes.
And Amy Nolan, who was at that time a member of the Vermont State Police, by happenstance encountered him in St. Albans and in Maple Fields. Is that also correct?
Yes.
And she drove him in her truck back to the St. Albans barracks of Vermont State Police, correct?
Yes.
From the time that he arrived at the Vermont State Police barracks in St. Albans, he was never outside the presence of someone from law enforcement, correct?
I believe there were times where he was alone, like in the interview room by himself. That's points during the interaction.
Was he under observation through a two-way mirror at times when he was alone in the interview room?
That room doesn't have a two-way mirror. No.
Does not.
No, it does not.
Okay. Okay.
Not
At any
yeah.
point, was he free to leave?
He was probably not free to leave.
So we can agree that he was in custody during the time he was at the Vermont State Police barracks. Right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So how long did you say you have been with the Vermont State Police?
Since January of 2014.
And prior to that, your law enforcement experience was what?
I have no prior law enforcement experience.
Okay. You did graduate from the Vermont Police Academy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the academy, you were told and given instructions on how to interrogate/interview a suspect, correct?
There was a
we
class
go.
on interviews and interrogations. Yes.
And you learned through your instruction and subsequently, I'm assuming through experience, what is necessary in order for a confession to be considered voluntary and constitutional, correct?
I don't recall specifically the conversation around that, but I'm sure it may have been part of it. I just don't recall.
Well, you know that you can't make physical threats to get a person to confess, don't you?
Of course.
And you know that you can't even make threats of harsh penalties to get them to confess, right?
Correct.
He didn't
And you
do
can't make any
anything to get him to
promises of
confess.
leniency, can you, to get them to confess?
Nope.
And the form that he signed indicated that he hadn't been coerced or threats made against him, correct?
I believe that's what it says. Yes.
You also know that if someone is highly intoxicated, what they say may not be rational or valid, correct?
Depends on the situation, but that's possible.
It's possible. Or if someone is having a mental health crisis, that also may make the statements they are giving you not admissible because not rational, correct?
Not admissible. Are you asking if it's not
I'll
admissible?
withdraw that question and rephrase it.
Okay.
In order for someone's statements to be considered voluntary, they have to be able to think rationally. Isn't that correct?
That sounds right. I don't know the legal standard sitting here. Yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds right. So some things that might interfere with a person's ability to be rational are mental health issues, right?
Potentially.
Yes, yes, right?
No, I said potentially.
Potentially, depending on what?
I think you can have mental health issues and be rational.
Okay, so what you're distinguishing is the
Called it
severity of the mental health issue at the time of the interrogations. Am I hearing you correctly?
No,
Okay, then tell me what you mean.
I'm sorry. He called her out on her bull crap, and I love it. You could have mental health issues and still be rational. Thank you. Mental health issues are not an excuse to be an asshole.
answered your question. If you asked if you could have mental health issues and be rational, and that I agree.
Okay, that's all I want to hear. And if someone had a physical condition that prevented them from being rational at the time of the interrogation, that also could be a reason why their statement might not be voluntary. Isn't that correct?
A physical condition?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Okay. So, for example, I'll give you some examples. If someone is severely injured and is unable to speak, to give a statement coherently, that would be a situation you would consider as not voluntary, wouldn't you?
Could the parties approach?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I'm on his store right now. What could she be having what could the judge be pissed off about? Because he's the one that said, his interrogation video, he was a Smurf for a little while, wrapped up in a hoodie and a blanket. He showed no emotion during his interrogation. This is cross-examination of the detective that interrogated him, and his lawyer reminds me of my mother-in-law, and I can't stand to look at her face.
So, Mr. Ferlazzo, Joseph, came into the barracks
in
and
flash,
interacted with a couple of people before you and Detective Richardson came into the room to talk to him, correct?
Yes.
He was given coffee or a drink of water, correct?
Yes.
He was given a donut, I think, correct?
Yes.
And somebody said they would get him a sandwich. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Do you know that he said that he was really tired?
I know that now. Yes.
Did you know that then?
I did not.
Wait. So you can't wait. Is she implying that you can't answer questions appropriately when you're tired? If I could never answer questions when I was tired, I'd never ask or answer anybody's effing questions, because there is not a second of the day that goes by where I'm not freaking tired. I am tired every second of every day, except for the 2 minutes after I lay my head on the pillow. Then I can't freaking sleep for nothing. Baby Squid, little sidebar story. Baby Squid would not take a nap today. I laid down with her in her bedroom for an hour trying to get her to take a nap. And I was really hoping that she could take a nap so that I could take one too. Because I just wanted to fall asleep. And I was in the perfect position to fall asleep. I was comfortable. She did not want to sleep. And I am so tired. But if you can't, she has a million questions, none of which make sense for the situation.
One of the first things he asked you was, what time is it? What day is it? Correct?
That was not me.
You're right. I'm sorry. I withdraw that.
I'm an idiot.
He did say to you,
that
however,
question.
I haven't eaten much and I've been up for days. Correct?
I believe at some point he said that. Yes.
I had a timestamp of 2:47 p.m., which would have been about 5 or 10 minutes into the interview with you.
Sounds about
Sounds right?
Yes, ma'am.
So he told you he was tired. Yes?
He said he'd been up for days.
And then at 3:12, he said, I'm really tired. Do you recall him saying that?
I recall him talking about needing to sleep or being up for days and maybe being tired. Yes.
And then immediately following that, he said, I don't know what day it is. This thing is sort of like not really able to have a clear thought, or I just feel like you're stuck in a hole. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember I had asked him what he did on Sunday and he couldn't recall. And that's when he described feeling like he was stuck in a hole. Yes.
And that he didn't have a clear thought. Do you recall that?
I don't recall that specifically.
I can show it to you if that would help.
It would refresh my memory, or if I could look at the transcripts, that would be great.
What is it?
Oh, FYI, transcripts, to all the haters out there, transcripts and making transcripts is not a suable offense. You can't sue somebody for making a transcript of your video, considering all you have to do is scroll down and get a transcript. It is not hard to make a transcript of a video. So, the fact that people are threatening to sue other people for making transcripts, oy vey. Oy vey, oh boy. So, yeah, y'all, it's not hard. So if you think that you're going to sue somebody for making a transcript, here's to the last brain cell you just lost. Night, Marine.
But this doesn't have the timestamps.
This is me. I got feet to the face.
I'll just take your
I got a
testimony that you
foot
don't
to the
remember
face.
precisely him saying at that point that he didn't have a clear thought. Is that right? You don't have a clear recollection of that?
I just don't recall the exact words, and so that's my testimony.
Okay, but something to that effect. You do recall that he said, not thinking clearly, regardless of whether you remember the.
I don't recall him saying, I'm not thinking clearly. I recall him saying, talking about his mind, yes.
And what about his mind? All I'm saying.
Just generally, he was having some trouble remembering some things. And I think at one point he said he was trying to blank page it. I took that to trying to forget about what happened.
FYI, forgetting some things happens to a lot of us every day. That doesn't mean you can't ask questions or you're not in the right state of mind to answer questions. And her line of questioning, to me, sounds like she's going more for an insanity defense. I understand she's trying to get the confession thrown out, but he also confessed to a friend of his hours earlier. So good luck, biatch. Not better lawyer than James Owens. I'll give her that much. She doesn't have a lot to work with, but still better than James. Definitely better than Bubble.
Do you remember him saying, I never thought anybody could push me to do that?
I do.
Do you remember him saying, my mind is so broken, I can't think straight?
I recall seeing it, reviewing the interview. I'm not sure if I was in the room at that point. I just don't recall, but I recall seeing that, yes.
That he said that, whether it was to you or to another law enforcement?
Yes.
Do you remember him saying, I'm not okay?
I do.
And in response to him saying, making various statements about him not thinking clearly, you didn't ask him why he wasn't thinking clearly, did you?
There were times in the interview where I asked what that meant. When he spoke about falling into a hole, I think my response was, what does that mean? So there were times where I did question what that meant.
Okay. And you didn't stop the interview, did you?
I did not.
And you didn't think that his statements to the effect that he wasn't thinking clearly was enough to stop the interview, did you?
I did not.
And when he said early on, I haven't slept for days, you didn't ask him if he needed to sleep before you spoke to him, did you?
I did not ask him if he wanted to sleep before we spoke.
And then at the end of the roughly 2-hour initial part of the interview that we saw, he put the blanket around himself and lay down on the floor. Isn't that correct?
Yes, he did.
And slept for or we don't know whether he was actually sleeping, but he was on the floor for 40 minutes with the blanket wrapped around him. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And then he was moved to a holding cell. Is that right?
Yes.
And he was in that holding cell from approximately, I think you testified, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that also correct?
Yes.
And then you and Sergeant Richardson went to the holding cell to ask him more questions.
Yes, there was some interaction with Mr. Ferlazzo between 6 and 9 p.m., but around 9:15, we asked more questions.
He was sleeping, wasn't he, when you arrived at the cell?
I don't know if he was sleeping.
Was he lying down?
He was lying down.
Did he have the blanket over himself?
He did.
Once again, my issues with her, was he sleeping? I don't know. Well, he had a blanket over himself and he was laying down. If I slept every time I had a blanket over myself and I had my head down on a pillow, I'd be asleep 18 hours a day because I can only hold my head up for so long before I get a headache.
We all just heard the audio of your interview with him at about 9:17 or something like that.
Around that time, yes, ma'am.
Sounded very sleepy, didn't he?
I would say he sounded like Mr. Ferlazzo. I don't
Okay,
think he sounded
well-
sleepy.
Well, your only interaction with him was the original interview. I'll withdraw the question. He reiterated to you something he told you early on, that at the time of the alleged shooting, a wave came over him. Isn't that right?
He did reiterate that, yes.
And he had originally told you he had a feeling of warmth come over him, isn't that right?
Yes, he also used the word rage.
Yes, he did. He also said loss of focus, didn't he?
Yes.
That's okay.
Just because you feel rage does not mean that you're going to shoot somebody. And K-Dubs, thank you for the $20 super chat. Squid, I cannot relate. I never had babies. Sounds exhausting. I will just give you super chats. Well, thank you for the super chats. And baby one is exhausting, but in the best way possible. Like, I can't imagine what my life was like before. Like, looking back, it's like, how did I ever function without her here? How did we ever do it? Like, our life must have been so boring.
That's okay. We found the page, but I'm not going to go back. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
No readout, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This judge is like,
Court want to start? Next witness?
If you have a witness available, why don't we start?
Who's next?
Seth.
all right, and this is where I'm actually going to call it a night. It's been about 2 hours, and that's kind of what we're going to do every time. But this is a really good stopping place. It's just one of those, like, we don't want to stop in the middle of a witness if we can help it. And I'm not sure how long this next witness is going to go. And y'all, I am tired. And talking about sleep makes me want to go to sleep. On that happy note, though, guys, thank you so much for being here. I know these are usually on Wednesday nights, so there's a little less going on Wednesday nights than there is on Thursday nights. And also with both Tug and Megan streaming and Shizzy is streaming right now. It's kind of a busy night for streaming. In that note, we are going to go and see who is actually still live right now, and we are going to redirect to them because I am not gonna leave you we're just not gonna leave you out in the wild on YouTube to venture on your own. So we're gonna redirect you. And we are gonna redirect you to Lauren, Shizzy. It's a toss-up. We have Runkle of the Bailey, That Umbrella Guy, Lauren Nighty, or Shizzy. Let's go to Shizzy this time. You have to do homework. Have a good night, everybody. And if you're headed over to Shizzy, I'll see you there. Da-da-da-da. There we go. Saved it, and I will see you guys later. And she will probably be up in about a half an hour. So the minute my butt wants to fall asleep, actually, after I do my little nighttime routine, lay down, lay for 5 minutes, and then she'll be up. About the time when I'm about to pass out. Bye, guys. Have a great night. And thank you all for your support. I love each and every one of you.